something I'm going to tell you about today is something that it took me years to realize, right? And something that we know logically, but emotionally, and even from a nervous system point of view, we run up against time and time again, which is this attempt to not hurt or disappoint or upset our partners, right? Or the women we're with, or the women we're dating, right? So what happens is you want to be a good man, right? You comes from your mother, your friends, maybe you see how men are generally in the world, and you're like, I'm not going to be one of those guys, right? Or maybe you had a father who was aggressive, dominating, hurtful towards, your mother or women in general, right? Usually there's this kind of archetype we have of like, a man hurt the woman I loved, your mother, your sisters, whatever. I can't do that. Maybe it was that maybe it's cheating, whatever it is, but we come to this erroneous idea that I must never hurt a woman, right? And I know some of you are going to hear this and go, what about all the stuff men do in the world? I'm like, I'm not really talking about guys like that. Guys like that aren't listening to my podcast. Truth be told, right? Guys out there who are kind of raping and sexually assaulting women, they're not listening to my podcast because they just think they know they think they know what they know and it works. So I'm talking to the men out there who are good-hearted men. Some of you might prescribe yourselves as nice guys who are wanting to be kind and decent and loving and all that kind of stuff when it comes to relationships, right? But what I chronically see in this is that we go into relationships with we can't hurt our partners, right? And I'm here to tell you, you need to be willing to hurt, upset, disappoint, and be disapproved of, right, by your partner. You need to be willing to step into that. Now, let me explain, because you might hear that and go, okay, David, it sounds like you're saying I should be violent and I should deliberately go around hurting women. Now, I want to say that those were my words. Please rewind and listen to what I said to be sure. Because sometimes what we do is we hear someone say a sentence and then we process it through our meaning-making part of our brain, right? Or the emotional state that it made us feel, triggered, worried, anxious, judgmental, shameful, whatever it is. And then we make it believe that. And we are chronically doing this in our society, right? But here's the thing. If you are in a relationship and you keep avoiding trying to hurt your partner, what you're going to do is you're going to avoid doing things that would actually help your relationship grow, that would help you grow, would help them grow, right? Would help actually make your relationship better. So let me explain, because this is something that I did many, many years. In the past relationship of mine, I wouldn't ask my partner for space when I needed maybe a day or two to myself, because I was worried if I told her that, she'd get upset and worried that I didn't want to be with her and I didn't care about her and I wanted to break up with her. So what I would do is not say anything and just kind of be frustrated by spending all our time together or whatever, right? This hurt me. It hurt her because I thought I was doing the right thing. But really all I was doing was being with her, but not really being present. I was checked out. I was thinking about other things. I was semi there. I wasn't being affectionate and kind and loving. I wasn't really doing the right thing. I was hurting her. I was doing what I was doing so I didn't have to deal with the feeling that I might have that I am not a good person, aka shame, right? I'll give you an example. Another example has happened to be in past relationship. The sex I'm having with my partner isn't being enjoyable, right? Maybe it's I'm leading all the time. Maybe it's just samey and it's the same script that we're going through. The same things are happening. Or maybe it's a particular type of sex that we're having that I don't like, I don't enjoy. Now, this can throw up a lot of feeling and emotion for us because like, oh my God, should I say anything? Should I not say anything? If I say something about not enjoying the sex, I think my mind starts thinking, if I have this conversation with her, that she's going to get upset or annoyed or think she's not good enough, or I don't find her sexually attractive or whatever it may be. These are all very reasonable thoughts. And it's not even just thoughts. Your partner may have done this before. You may have brought something up and they've reacted like that. You might have an ex-girlfriend that's reacted like that, an ex-wife that's reacted like that. You may have very good reason to believe that her reaction is going to be that. So I avoided, right, having the conversation. Then all it means is you start getting frustrated about the sex. You don't feel like the relationship will change, and maybe you want the relationship to end at that point, right? That's something that kind of occurred to me. So we don't have the conversation that we really want to have, right? Another one. right? You see, you don't have the conversation you want to have. Maybe there's things and aspects about the relationship that you don't like, that you would like to change, right? Maybe it's about them. Maybe you want your partner to go to the gym, lose some weight, or you want them to have more hobbies, right? Your mind starts thinking, oh, if I say this to her, she's going to get upset. She's going to get annoyed. She's going to start doubting herself. She's going to feel unattractive. What it can be. Your mind tells you she's going to get upset. You might be guessing right. But can you see every time there's something that needs to be talked about, you tell yourself you can't have this conversation because it's going to upset her, and you can't upset her. You see the logic? I can't have this conversation because I can't upset her. If I upset her, that's bad. She'll cry. She'll get annoyed with me, whatever it is. And that's bad. I must avoid that. And you see how we come into this idea that we must avoid hurting our partners. We don't consciously get there, right? We just do it. We do it unconsciously by avoiding the things that need to be talked about, the things that need to be expressed. We need to tell them about a pattern they have or the way that we talk to each other that isn't good, but we avoid it because we don't want to upset the apple cart, because we're trying to be good boys. We're trying to be good men, and we've learned that good men don't hurt their partners. And that isn't true. All right. Again, I want to caveat again. It doesn't mean you need to beat your wife, you beat your partner, or deliberately say things that are cruel and mean. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to be willing to say things that hurt or upset your partner, or your relationship cannot be great. And what you're going to find, and I've started to say this, right, is every time you avoid having these conversations, or avoid telling them ways in which they need to grow, or that you need to grow, or the things you want space around, or whatever it has to be, because you could probably look at your relationships now and past relationships, and you could know very clearly what it is you needed, what is it you wanted, and so forth. And you don't say it. You erode your intimacy in the relationship. You erode your self-trust with yourself. You erode your self-confidence with yourself, because you're not moving in the direction you know things need to go. You're not showing leadership. You're abdicating leadership. You're avoiding leading because of your fear of the uncomfortable feeling of feeling shame because you've upset your partner. You're avoiding having to be with her tears and upset. You're avoiding, right, some hurt feelings because it's easier to be comfortable, when actually you have to move through the hurt feelings to get to the greatness of the relationship, right? And this is part of the reason why you say to yourself, I don't want to hurt them, but really it's about your own capacity to be with someone not liking you, being upset with you, being disappointed with you, right? It's like the little boy in you cannot handle that idea. Like, oh my God, if, you know, maybe it comes from childhood or whatever, right? You can't handle the idea of your partner being upset with you and you being okay. It's to some degree, it's codependence, right? That, okay, she's upset with me. That's okay. It's okay for her to be upset with me, right? Because we can move through repair. We can come back together, right? There's a lot of this lacking in belief in repair, of connection, of coming back together, and the fact that it's okay for your partner to be upset with you. It's different if you were deliberately, maliciously upsetting your partner, but having a conversation about improving the relationship, improving your quality of life, well-being, and so forth. They're not malicious conversations. They're conversations with, at the root, you're trying to make the relationship better. You're trying to create more connection between the two of you. And by avoiding them chronically, continually, you destroy the relationship. Many of you, and I see this so often with the avoidant men that I work with, is they'll just avoid all the things that need to be done. And then they'll be like, well, this relationship doesn't work. I need to leave. Well, the relationship stops working because you stopped, or you never did, communicate what you needed or what you wanted to change and how you wanted things to be better. And then you end the relationship and go, oh, well, you know, say to the partner, like, this isn't working for me, blah, blah, blah. And then you can't tell them why. Why? Because in telling them why it's not working, you would have to divulge the information that you don't want to tell them. Or you wait years, months, years, decades even, and then you tell them it's not working. You want the relationship to end. They ask you why. You tell them all the things, and they're like, why didn't you tell me before? And you're too far down the resentment trap, and they're resentful of you because you've probably been miserable, disconnected, like uncommunicative for years, days, weeks, months, or years, and you destroyed the relationship, right? Because of the desire to stay in this state of, I haven't done anything to hurt her. And really, It's the inability, the lack of belief in your capacity, because the capacity for the emotion that she will give to you, she will respond to you with you. It's there, you have it, but you don't believe you do, right? So, there's whole podcast episodes I've done about increasing emotional capacity and so forth. Or maybe that's what I'll do next. But part of this has to be acknowledging like, it's okay. You can be a good man and still upset your partner by some of the conversations you have. You have the capacity to share what's going on, what you're worried about, what you're fearful of, what you need, what you want to change in a relationship without being a bad man, without being a bad person, right? I think I'll stop it there. I'll stop it there. So this communication piece for men is really important because we don't learn how to communicate like this. Like how do you, what I'm feeling, what I need, to know what I need, right? In my relationship without hurting anybody, right? Without destroying the relationship. And this is one of the reasons I created my program Relate, which is going to start in a few months. It's going to start in March. So I'm looking for 10 men who want to join. 10,000 men. At the moment, I've got about 15, 20 people on the wait list. Those men are very keen. Some of them are emailing and asking me when they're going to start, when they can purchase. So if you want to be a man that gets in the founding members, you get wonderful discover being founding members, then you need to put your name on the wait list, which is down below in the comment section. No, sorry. It's in the description, right? The Relate wait list. You add your name. That's it, basically. A couple of details and that's it. And then I will get back to you about when it's starting and talk to you about joining. So if that's interesting to you, and it should be, if you're a man that's struggled in a relationship like me, that's self-sabotage relationships like me, that's been avoidant in relationships, or even you've been too anxious and you've destroyed it because you over-communicate, then that's also someone. If you've been a nice guy, this is going to cover all those bases, because really, this is the culmination of so much of the work that I've done personally, and I've worked with the hundreds of men I've worked with over the years, all inside this program. But tell me what you think about this episode. When are the times that you've avoided expressing what you want, what you need? One of the times that you have destroyed relationships because you weren't willing to upset and hurt your partners. Ciao, ciao.